Tonight, we plunge into Blackthorn Foresta landscape haunted by secrets, blood, and betrayal. Dr. McKay, how does the forest atmosphere shape the unfolding events?
Clara, Blackthorn acts almost like a character itself. The dense trees and darkness create an oppressive, claustrophobic environment, amplifying every fear and making trust feel as scarce as moonlight. It's the perfect crucible for betrayals to surface.
That's fascinating. The forest's silence is broken only by Ethan's scream, which serves as a catalyst. How does this auditory cue drive the narrative forward?
Ethan's scream slices through the tension, propelling the Whisper and Katya into action. It's both a literal cry for help and a symbolic disruption forcing hidden enemies and buried truths into the open. It's the narrative's ignition point.
Let's zero in on the envelope, a single word inside, Aegis. In espionage fiction, what does the revelation of a name like this signify?
A name like Aegis is more than just a clue. It's a key to the entire conspiracy. In real-life intelligence operations, code names can unlock networks and motives. Here, Aegis is both a target and a ghost stand entity, influencing everything from the shadows.
From a psychological perspective, how might the Whisper react to finally encountering the name behind his trauma?
It's a moment of validation and renewed obsession. Like survivors uncovering their persecutors, the Whisper is driven by vengeance, but also by the hope of closure, a dangerous mix that can cloud judgment and escalate risks.
The partnership between the Whisper and Katya is tense yet deeply interwoven. How do shared enemies and past traumas influence alliances in high-stakes scenarios?
In situations like this, mutual survival trumps personal grievances. Think of resistance fighters in WW. Ideological divides were often set aside temporarily when facing a common existential threat. The Whisper and Katya embody that uneasy trust.
Is there a risk that such alliances can implode under pressure?
Absolutely. The very traumas that bind them can also be triggers for mistrust or flashbacks, making these alliances volatile. Their unity is as fragile as the silence in Blackthorn misstep, and chaos erupts.
Shifting focus, the man in the suit stands as both executioner and messenger. What makes a masked antagonist compelling in narratives like this?
Ambiguity is key. The mask strips away humanity, turning him into an archetype of fear and authority. Yet, his calm, almost regretful dialogue hints at complexity. Perhaps he's a true believer, or a jaded operative, not a mere villain.
He taunts Ethan about the futility of evidence. Does this reflect real-world whistleblower challenges?
Indeed. Many whistleblowers face systemic efforts to discredit or erase their revelations. The man's words echo tactics seen in major leaks from Watergate to Snowdenware institutions often act swiftly to suppress the truth.
Ethan's recorder becomes his lifeline. In investigative journalism, what's the significance of documenting evidence even when under direct threat?
Documentation is a shield. If the story dies with you, the truth is buried. Ethan's move mirrors tactics used by war correspondents or undercover journalists who often set up dead man switches to ensure their findings reach the public if something happens.
Let's imagine, if Ethan's editor receives this recording, how might it change the power dynamic?
It raises the stakes for all parties. A public leak could force Aegis into damage control, potentially triggering both internal purges and external investigations. It's the classic publish or perish dilemma, but with deadly immediacy.
The knife fight between the Whisper and the man in the suit is brutal and personal. Why do close-quarters battles resonate so strongly in thrillers?
Hand-to-hand combat strips away distance and anonymity. It's a raw test of will, skill, and history. Think of Jason Bourne's iconic fights. Here, every move is a conversation, every blade a word in their shared language of violence.
Is there a deeper symbolism to these clashes beyond mere survival?
Definitely. These fights often externalize internal struggles, soul betrayals, guilt, vendettas. The clash of blades becomes a metaphor for unresolved conflict, both between individuals and within themselves.
Suddenly, The fight is interrupted by a new threat, a four-legged machine. How does introducing advanced technology heighten the stakes in this narrative?
Machines like this symbolize the escalation of power. Human enemies are dangerous, but autonomous weapons add unpredictability. The shift is akin to modern conflicts moving from insurgencies to drone warfare, where the rules of engagement radically change.
The machine's design is described as predatory and agile. What real-world parallels exist for such technology?
Boston Dynamics quadruped robots come to mind. Militaries are investing heavily in unmanned ground vehicles that can navigate terrain and deploy lethal force, blurring lines between science fiction and reality.
The Whisper asserts Aegis not only funded Erebus, but built it. What are the dangers when private entities develop military-grade technologies in secret?
Unregulated private actors can pursue agendas without oversight, risking catastrophic abuses. History shows us how companies like IG Farben and WWE or modern defense contractors have operated in ethical gray zones, often shielded by secrecy or state collusion.
Could public exposure force accountability, or are these entities too insulated?
Exposure can spark investigations, but entrenched power often resists. Whistleblower protections and investigative journalism are crucial, but as with Aegis, true accountability is a long, dangerous road.
Ethan discovers Operation Nightshade, the deliberate murder of a civilian family. How does personal loss intensify a protagonist's quest for justice?
Personal stakes transform a mission into a crusade. When the Whisper learns his family was targeted, the quest for justice becomes existential. This mirrors real-world cases like investigative journalists pursuing leads after losing colleagues to violence.
Does this revelation risk clouding judgment or fueling destructive cycles?
Absolutely. The line between justice and vengeance blurs. Trauma can empower or consume, and history is replete with examples. Think of the endless cycles in blood feuds or revenge tragedies.
As our protagonists flee into the night, Ethan clings to the evidence. In your view, how does truth function as both shield and sword in stories like this?
Truth is volatile. Exposing it can protect the vulnerable or endanger them further. It's like holding a grenade. Handled well, it can demolish oppressive structures, but mishandled, it can destroy those seeking justice. In this narrative, the truth is both salvation and a target.
To wrap up, what can real-world whistleblowers and investigators learn from this story's harrowing chase?
Preparation and resilience are key. Always have contingency plans, safeguard evidence, and build trusted networks. But above all, recognize that exposing corruption is a marathon, not a sprint, and the forces arrayed against you are often relentless.